Hey everyone, it's Keith with another episode of our CIO Wisdom Share. This week we're going to take it up a little bit. We're going to talk about kind of high level strategic vision, working at high levels of the organization. And joining me today is Shawn Ellis. So Shawn, welcome. It's nice to have you.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Great, thank you. And if you could just give our viewers just a little bit of background about who you are and some of the roles you have and what you do.
Yeah, so I'm Shawn Ellis. I'm a Chief Information Officer at a large payment processing company, Priority Technology Holdings. I have a storied career that goes back over 25 years in financial, higher education, and scientific industries. So I've worked in a lot of different industries, and like many CIOs, came from a technical background. However, in more recent times, have earned an MBA and made it a priority to elevate my participation in the organization beyond the technical.
I noticed, so you're unique in the fact I've seen that a CIO position, a CISO position, CTO positions in your past. That's quite must have given you a pretty good perspective about how technology integrates into customers and with organizations.
Yeah, so I have a CISSP and a CISM, and security has always been, of course, a huge issue for our role as CIO or any technology leadership role. And holding those CISO and security roles over my career has been really gives me a lot of expert authority when it comes to dealing with security issues and transforming them into risk issues. And that's been really the most useful thing about that background when it comes to participating at the CIO level is, when you have an issue come up around security from any part of the organization, including your CISO, being able to discuss things and decompose them into the risk business case, has been very useful to me. So I do find a broad perspective to be most useful at this level, at the CIO level, versus coming up from one particular industry or one particular vertical of technology like infrastructure development, and having enough diversity in my background to have a perspective that isn't siloed has really helped me avoid, I think, a lot of pitfalls.
So in your introduction, you mentioned part of what you're doing is elevating the role. So if we can, let's talk about this kind of generally speaking, when you talk about CIOs and, elevating the roles to sit at the big table and, work with C-suite. Can you tell us a little bit about how you think about that?
Yeah, so I think that, like many things, there's kind of a level of maturity you have to get to before you get to participate at that level. And, depending on a role that you take on, when you first take on your CIO role, whether or not, you're 25 years in or 10 years in, it may be that the trains aren't running on time and the operation isn't transacting and things are going down and projects are late. And in this kind of environment, that's a non-starter. That discussion isn't going to happen. So you have to know how to achieve operational excellence, how to achieve project delivery excellence or velocity, and how to just be able to do what you say you're going to do. If you can't do that, then that's the end. So that's a kind of a baseline skill we all have to have. We all have to know how to apply good people skills to get our people to perform that way. And I think that's a key trait, the key thread through all of this is I think there's a few different philosophies around your organization and the people in it. And we've all heard, put the right people in the right seats on the bus, get the right people, find the right team. That's the thing that bothers me about all that is you usually have the team you have when you come onto a role. I mean, usually you're not starting a brand new IT department and hiring from position 1 to position 200. So, and it's a fallacy that you can just fire 200 people and hire 200 new people. I don't think I've ever heard that. And I don't think I've ever heard a success story that begins with, and we outsource the IT department. So, so basically you're going to have to survive with what you find around you, grow where you're planted, choose your analogy. So I think the real skill is being able to coach people, being able to potentially move people to places where they can be more successful, and being able to create a culture of excellence and leading by example more than it is just kind of rearranging deck chairs or some of these other analogies. So that's what I try to apply when I come into a role and we have some disorder on the operational side or on the project side. And once I have achieved a good track record of not having issues and being able to hit dates, well, that's when we can begin to talk about strategic planning and where we really elevate the role. So when it comes to, okay, I've done what I said I was going to do. Now I'd like to participate in what we say we're going to do as a business, moving forward, and give some input to that and add some value and innovation to that. And a lot of innovation can get driven out of technology. So that's where I add the most value, is when I get to that point. So I've done all my operational homework. I've done my projects on time. I've got processes in place that are repeatable, and now I'm at the table. So what do you do? Well, in this case, we need to begin with what the strategic vision of the organization is. So, we all say we want to grow, but how much do you want to grow? Why is that realistic? Why not grow by more? Why not grow by less? What are you going to say you're going to do? And then, there may be other kind of strategic level goals where we want to grow in a certain specific direction, because that's going to put us in a position to take advantage of something else or have a merger or acquisition or something like that. So some of these goals, are specific, like we want to do this and we want to grow by that much. And, there should be 2 or 3 kind of overarching strategic arcs to your character story of your organization. So assuming that's already defined, that's great. You just need to align with it. If it isn't defined or it isn't communicated specifically, there's no reason why you can't do that for your CEO. So you just, or your president, or whatever the top of your organization is, you just have those conversations and try to pull that together for him or her, and then you communicate it. And so if you don't have it, you need to get it. And if nobody's done it, then you do it. And by default, that'll put you in quite an elevated position. So you've got it. You need to align behind it. And alignment simply means choosing the right projects that contribute most directly to those things on that strategic plan. So a strategic plan isn't a list of every project you're going to do in IT, of course. And a strategic plan isn't a list of only the projects that have the words that line up with that in it. It's the projects that contribute the most directly to those things without a second order step. So if I say, well, I'm gonna, redo all of our VMware, go over to Hyper-V, and that's going to save a lot of operational capital, and that will go towards our EBITDA line, and it'll help EBITDA go up. This is true, and that should be listed in the ROI for that project, but it's not a strategic project. And the reason is because it's 2 levels away from contributing to EBITDA. So, you really need to choose the ones that are just 1 step away. And so you'll wind up with a list there, and you may categorize them under each strategic goal. And then you'll communicate that very broadly through the whole company. And the reason you'll do that is because the value of the strategic plan is twofold. One is it's going to build credibility with all your customers. And 2, it's going to add meaning to your staff's work. So if your staff are just working, help desk tickets, and they're trying to meet SLAs, it's not very meaningful. It's not going anywhere. It's not towards anything ultimate goal wise. But if they see like a long plan, at least for the year, and they know they're trying to achieve something on it or contributing to that, or even helping relieve someone else's time so that they can do that, it just adds a lot more meaning to what they do every day. And then, on the customer side, if they see you say, I'm going to do X, and then at the end of the year, X is delivered, that's a lot of credibility to get. That doesn't work if the plan changes. So, and that's just the weakness of most strategic plans. You lay it out, you communicate it, and then all of a sudden it's different next month. Just wiped away, and we couldn't do that because we didn't know this, we didn't know that. So the key to that is involving all the people, like all the way down to the lowest staff members you have in the call center and student workers, all the way up to the CEO, of course, and make sure that the engagement is very broad, but also very deep in the organization. So you get a diversity of perspectives and shake out all those gotchas before you communicate the plan is done. And that will ensure the plan has the lowest risk of changing. So if there's always risk, it'll change. And there's a variance like there is in any budget. We hope to keep that variance under 5%, just like the budget.
And what does that strategic plan look like? Is that just is it a narrative, or do you write this big, thick novel with, all the plans and all the projects, and how's that work?
The way I do it is as short as I possibly can make it, more like bullets. They could wind up on a slide. They could be on even one sheet, one page strategic plan. It's strategic. So it shouldn't be a thick novel. You should be able to look at it mostly in one glance and see what the IT department's going to achieve that year towards the company's strategic goals. And it certainly is going to cut out most of the projects we do. And it certainly is going to leave a lot of work that, people inside IT might feel should be there because it costs a lot or it's taking all our time or something. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not contributing directly to those goals. So we're not going to have it on there. And so the one I've done most recently, I think it's like 6 slides and maybe 3 or 4 initiatives per strategic goal. And there's 3 strategic goals. So not a lot of projects in terms of number of projects. And then each bullet just simply, in the simplest words, with the least jargon, describes, the scope of the project and how much value it's going to provide. And then something about the metric that'll measure success of it.
And you have to just go around and talk to all the business groups, and you got to kind of put your arms around what they're all trying to do as well. That's aligned to the strategy. And I mean, you look at what you do as supporting what they do, or?
Well, certainly, I would say your first iteration of plan, so if we talk about a strategic plan, like there's the first maturity level plan, yes, you're going to probably line up behind whatever somebody else is trying to do, get behind it, push it, make it more efficient, help them achieve their goal. I'd hope to get to the next level, and I have been in a few points in my career where you are actually, and it depends on the kind of business you're in, but most businesses now are technology driven. So where you actually are defining one or more initiatives on the corporate strategic plan and helping to define that. There's a lot of supporting things that you do as part of your job, but having 1 or 2 things like that are transformative. People talk about the digital transformation, right? Everything that's contributing towards that should be a technology driven strategic goal.
Hope you heard a few things that triggered some new thinking for you. We do these conversations on IT topics weekly, so please feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you get updates on new content, as well as you can post comments and, more importantly, suggest topics that you'd like us to address. You can see that we have some pretty amazing resources, so please let us know how we can help you on your upcoming digital transformation and enterprise IT projects. Thanks very much. Until next time.